Hey, you know how much I love you? It is so stinking hot in this podcast room, but because I love you, because I love you, I am committed to doing this episode. Hey, it's Ryan Koral from Studio Sherpas, and I think this is episode 134 of the Studio Sherpas podcast, where I'm here to help you start a video business, grow your video business, or scale your video business to epic proportions. I'm serious. No, I'm here to guide the way, and I'm super glad that you're here. Today, we're going to be talking about, is it time for you to pivot your video business? If you're stuck, frustrated, confused, like, are you reaching out to the right clients? Are you reaching out to clients? Are you crazy about the work that you're doing? Are you crazy? Are you the other crazy about, like, there's the one crazy, like, I love this. And then there's the other crazy, like, I hate this. Where are you at in your business? Where this comes from for me is, I've been running a production company for the past 15 years. I'm old, so old, and I've learned a lot. I have pivoted my business a number of times over the past 15 years, and usually, I don't want to say it's because I see something like, sparkly and shiny, and I say, like, oh, I need to run to that. It's always been born out of a strong passion. I shouldn't say always. Because I think I've pivoted a couple of times where it was more like I thought this would be a good business decision. So I just kind of want to hear, well, I guess you won't be able to tell me, but if you could tell me right now, I want you to think about where you're at in your business and kind of hear from, somebody, a Sherpa who has pivoted a number of times in his own business, and the things that I've learned and the things that have worked well as I've gone through this process. And seriously, in the thick of it right now, where I think we're finally coming onto the other side of saying, like, okay, this is where we are landing. And what is so funny about this is it was, I think it was the beginning of May or the end of April where I said, hey, I'm tired of not having a little like elevator pitch that I can share with people to tell them how we help them with video. It's my pitch has always been, oh my gosh, it's so hot in this room. My pitch has always been, we help businesses tell their story. And we do this through documentary, cinematic storytelling. And people, I don't know. For the most part, people are like, oh, that's cool. Nobody, asks a lot of questions. And it's because of the way that I've pitched it. It's very generic. And for me, a lot of this came to head at a conference that I attended in March, April, May. Where I was there were other filmmakers present. We were in a circle chatting it up, and then somebody that wasn't a filmmaker came up and, I was like, what do you guys do? And everybody kind of went around, and everybody was using the word story, and I just felt like, I feel so watered down. Like, I just feel like we're all vanilla. I don't know if you guys heard the Graham Cochran episode recently, but we talked about that and how I don't want to be vanilla. I don't want to be like everybody else. I'm different than everybody else. And that was one of the events over the past 3 months that there have been 3 events over the past 3 months where I've really just looked inward to where we are currently at, the current state of Tell Studios and what we're doing, who we are as a company, that I just got more and more frustrated realizing, like, what the heck, I am not doing what I want to be doing. I love my team, and some of the projects that we do are great, but for the most part, and this is not. I'm not speaking for my team. I'm not speaking against any of our clients. I love our clients. They have been so gracious to hire us, and we have plenty of clients that hire us again and again, and that is just incredibly amazing. And I'm super thankful for that work. So I want to dive in. I've got 3 things that I want to talk through. If you're just starting your business, like, this might not be relevant, like, to pivot your business. But what this conversation might do is help you understand, like, hey, like, you're at a perfect time in your business to really define who it is that you want to be, who you want to serve, how you want to help the world, what do you want to contribute in the work that you do. So if you are just starting, I think this can be totally relevant. So the word pivot might not be, but everything else might be. First question that I have 3 questions for you. The first question is, are you profitable in your work? I want to share a story. When I was in 3rd grade, I loved Boys Life. I got this magazine called Boys Life, and I mostly loved it. There were comics in it, and at the end of the magazine, there were advertisements, depending on niche, potato, whatever. And at the end of the magazine were all these advertisements for X-ray glasses and things that shock your friends, pens that had microphones, just the craziest gadgets. And actually the first thing that I ever bought from Boys Life, oh my gosh, it was I'd used my own money. It was spider web. It talked about this amazing spider web that looks just like spider web. It was this big glob of cotton, and it was terrible. My parents did not like it. I couldn't get it to stretch to make it look like it. I tore it to shreds. It was the worst, and one of the worst investments that I've ever made. And being 7, 8-year-old kid, it was just my heart was broken. So I had other aspirations though in 3rd grade. One, I wanted to be a detective. I used to read Encyclopedia Brown. If you've never read Encyclopedia Brown, do yourself a favor. Do it. Amazing series. It's so old. Anyway, so I wanted to investigate mysteries on the playground. So that was one thing. But then the other thing that I was really, really passionate about was being a magician. And not so much being a magician, but hosting a magic show. That was my number one desire. And in the end of the Boys Life magazine, they would sell all sorts of different magic tricks. Now, I think they did trick me with the whole spider web thing. I will forgive that whoever made that thing, because shame on me for still get emotional about it. Anyway, so there's all these magic tricks that you could buy. They had boxes of 10, so 10 tricks. There were just different packages, and I remember there was one that had 50 magic tricks, and then there was another one that had 100 magic tricks, and I think it was $19.95 plus shipping and handling, and back then it was so much money. I got $2 a month for allowance or something ridiculously small, so it was going to take me a long time. But I really, really wanted to save up my money to buy magic tricks so that I could host a magic show at our house. This would be a great idea for anybody that lives in a busy downtown area where it's just kind of quick and easy to get to a house or whatever, sidewalks. Lots of population. Well, I lived on a dirt road. Okay, no big deal. We had one neighbor. We lived on 10 acres. They lived on 10 acres. We had a dirt road driveway that was probably a quarter or half a mile long. Super long. My best friend lived across the road from me. It was about a mile to his house, and there were literally no other houses that were closer to us. So this was kind of an issue, but I was determined to do this. So I planned out I was going to buy this magic set. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can get those tables that I can turn into a little stage, and that's where I'll do my magic tricks. And so I started telling my dad, hey, here's my dream. This is what I'm going to do this summer. And, I'll wait till school's out so I have the time. And, I'm going to charge $5 a ticket. And I was doing the math, and I'm like, man, I'll only need 10 people to come to the show, and then I can buy the $50 magic trick box, and then I can do another show right after that. Then I can get the one that has 100 magic tricks. And my dad's like, oh man, that's such a great idea. He's like, so where are people going to park when they come to the magic show? And I was like, well, they'll park on our driveway. Our driveway is super long. We've got a huge lawn, just 10 acres. We had a lot of room for people. So I'm like, obviously they'll park in the driveway and park on the grass and stuff. He's like, okay. He's like, so, I'm going to have to charge you money for the people that are going to, park in our road. When we go to sporting events and stuff, we have to pay to park our cars there. So I'm going to have to charge you, to have your people there. And I was like, oh, well, how much are you going to charge for parking? And he's like, well, I'll charge you, $10 a head. So then I'm like, okay, I'm adding up my costs here, like $10 for parking plus $5 admission. I'm like, that's $15. I'm like, and then I'm like, I'm not going to make any money, right? I'm going to charge $5. And if my dad's charging me $10, so then I start doing math, which is never a good thing, as I'm already sort of struggling, thinking through how did I figure this out? Well, then my dad is like, well, why don't you just charge more money for your tickets, and then you can pay me from that? And I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I charge instead of $5, if I charge $50 a ticket, I will make a ton of money. If I had 10 people come and they pay me $50, that's $500. And then I forgot the one element of, oh, hey, people need to want to come and want to pay $50. I just thought you set the ticket price at $50 and they come, right? You build it and they'll come. So the reason why I share this story is if I'm charging $5, my dad is charging me $10. If this event is costing me money, right? This magic show, I'm losing money by hosting this magic show. So I need to at least cover my costs. What are my costs? Well, at this point, I'm thinking that I already have some magic items. I can do a show right now. I'm going to collect the money and then buy future stuff later. Well, so I'm going to at least have to charge $10 per head, but that's just going to pay for parking. That's just me paying for my dad charging me $10. So then maybe at the very least, I need to charge $15 so that I'm covering the cost of parking and then I'm covering my time, right? So $5 per head at 10 people, that's $50. So I'm making $50. But for all the time and energy that's going to go into this event, for renting the tables and any other thing, it's at the end of the day, making $50 is just paying for my time, barely. I'm not making any money on top of that to be able to buy more, magic tricks. So as we think through this question, when is it time to pivot? The first question being, are you profitable in your work? If you are just getting paid for your time, if you're just covering the costs of your time and you're not building something that is making you profitable so that when unexpected things happen, when gear breaks, you can buy new gear, or when it's just time to upgrade gear, or when it's time to get a studio or hire an employee, if you're not profitable, you can't do any of that. A lot of times we think if somebody writes you a $1,000 check for a video project, you're like, oh shoot, well, I'm not doing anything that day. I'll make $1,000. But what we forget is all the work that goes into that, meeting with the client, working with them, shooting, editing, driving, all of those things. Plus, well, at some point we had to buy this gear. Where did that money come from? Well, at least in the future, when I get that $1,000, hopefully some of that money I'm saving so that I can buy the next piece of gear. But, rewind before that, where did that money come from? Well, maybe it came from savings, or maybe you borrowed it from somebody. So maybe use a credit card. So you owe money. So if you're just covering your costs and your time, you're not building a future. You're not building a business. You have a job. A job. And I think a lot of the reasons why we get into this work to begin with is so that we don't have to have a job, so that we can create something that can last a long time and that can give us a good life. So it's time to pivot in your business if you're not profitable. That's point number one. Hey, if you want to make more money in your video business, you got to work smarter, not harder. And as I've learned that, I have come full circle in how I view stock footage. Stock footage used to be the worst, literally the worst. Terrible quality and super small selection. There have been so many projects where we just needed one shot of something pretty specific that we didn't get for whatever reason, or the client just requested totally last minute. I'm sure that's never happened to you, right? Well, someone turned us on to Storyblocks years ago, and it has really added to our edits without breaking the bank and without compromising the quality of the production. They have an enormous library of stock footage, and with the unlimited video plan, you get access to everything, including HD and 4K footage, After Effects templates, motion backgrounds, and more. We have saved our clients and ourselves a ton of money, and we saved a couple of projects that needed that one special shot. Use your content anywhere you like, including YouTube. All content is royalty-free, so you can use it for commercial and personal projects. And new content is added regularly, so there's always something fresh to download. Head over to storyblocks.com/Studio Sherpas to get all the stock footage, audio, and images you need. Number 2, the question I have is, are you enjoying the clients that you are working with? Rewind to 2005 when I shot my first wedding. Prior to that, 6 months prior to that, I was working at the church that we went to, the college that I went to. I was doing all sorts of video projects there, and then random people were finding out that I did video, so I'm doing all sorts of different things. And then 6 months into me doing video full-time, my photographer friend, Jeff Bennett, said, hey, I've got this couple. They've got a wedding on Saturday. They don't have video. They've got $500. Are you available? I'm like, oh my gosh, $500 is amazing. Of course I'm available. So I shoot the wedding. I love the experience, and the client, you know, they have no idea, but they are blown away at what I did for them. I put so much time into this because I was like, I've never been at a wedding that was this beautiful. I've never had like such like eye candy to shoot. And so I was just like, I'm like, wow, this is an incredible opportunity. So I just poured my heart and soul into this edit. They were like, they were floored because they only paid $500. So I way over delivered, right? The expectation was not very high at all. So for me, I fell in love with weddings. I fell in love with couples and creating this experience for them, for families. I just loved every aspect of doing what I was able to do when we were doing weddings. Creating these memory pieces that would encourage couples when they watched later, like the promises that they made to each other at their wedding. I just loved like being able to capture that stuff. That meant so much to me. And there were like so many of our clients we just became friends with. And that was kind of my sales pitch to people, was like, we don't want to just be the vendor. We want to build a relationship with you. When we're there working with you, we want you to feel like we're your friends with just really cool video cameras. And people got that. And the people that wanted that, those people hired us. And people that were like, well, that's weird. We just want a vendor. We just want somebody to like order around and, do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, I'm glad that you can identify that. But for the people that really got it and understood what we were passionate about, I loved what we were creating and the people that we were creating it for. I've also, over the years, the nonprofits that we've worked with and the people that we've helped there, that has been very fulfilling work for us. And then when I launched Studio Sherpas in 2016 with Matt, working with video people that are starting their business, trying to grow this thing, that are people that are stuck and frustrated with like crummy clients and jobs that weren't paying well, to work with those people and to hear people getting results saying like, oh my gosh, like, I got your course and I've applied the things and I'm actually profitable now and I understand what being profitable is. That to me has been really, really life-giving. And then, rewind 2 months ago, when we hosted the Onward Summit, and being able to meet so many people from the Studio Sherpas community and hear straight from their mouths saying like, thank you so much for creating this community and the teaching and the podcast and all the stuff that you do. It is working. It is having an impact. It's changing my life. It's changing my business. That to me is like so fulfilling. So over the years, I've been able to do a lot of different things where I've found a lot of fulfillment and a lot of clients, quote unquote, that I really, really enjoy working with and serving. So what this is also the reflection in the time that I've spent thinking about what I've been doing, I've been able to realize like, wow, there's a lot of clients that we have that they are likable people. So don't hear me wrong at all. They are totally likable people, but what we're doing for them isn't exciting to me. We don't really work with the CEOs anymore. We don't really work with the decision makers. We're working with a team of people that make decisions for the business, but I'm not sitting across from the founder of the company and hearing the origin story and the passion and getting all that. I'm hearing from the communications team like, hey, here's what we need, and can you do this? And us saying like, oh yeah, we can do that, and here's how we can help you, and here's how we can all come alongside, and that has been great from a business perspective, and my team is happy with the work that we're getting and doing. But from my perspective, feeling like we're moving the needle, we're changing the world, that work to me is just kind of like, oh no, this is paying the bills and this is super good stuff. I'm so thankful to have it. But if I got to pick what I do, like I would really want to choose stuff where I feel like I'm having a direct impact on people's lives or people's businesses. The bigger the businesses that we've worked with, the less that I felt like the impact is and or the need that the company has for us. Like I feel like, the bigger companies, they can hire anybody. And so we're just a vendor to them. And that there's a time and a place for that. So, but for my personal fulfillment, I've realized that's where I've been feeling kind of like, ugh. So as we're talking about pivoting, if you're in that spot where if you're not enjoying working with the majority of clients that you're working with, then it's probably a time to consider pivoting because you're probably frustrated a lot, and life's too short to be frustrated a lot. So I'm going to get to some of the things, some of the tools and practices that I've done when I've gotten to this point, and the same with this next point. So the third question is, are you finding joy in your work? If you're not finding joy in your work, then it might be time to pivot. The last point is a great segue for me because as I've realized the type of work that we've been doing, as I've felt more disconnected with, the founders of companies and the mission as I want to make a difference in the world, I feel like over the years I've been getting farther and farther from that. So, for me, we still do have projects that I'm so proud of and that I want to share with everybody. But if you're not sharing your work, if you're not proud of the stuff that you're working on, if the videos that you have on your site are years old and those are your favorite projects, then it might be time for you to really consider pivoting, because you're not doing anybody any favors if there is no joy in what you're doing today. You're not doing any favors for your clients because they deserve the best. They deserve whoever they hire to come to that job and want to give 100%. And you're not doing any favors for yourself because as you work on projects that don't bring you joy, guess what that means? That you will become joyless. And that's not good. If you are trying, if you do this as a hobby, that's one thing. That's fine, whatever. You can be the grumpy old person that doesn't care about finding joy in your work. You just do it for the paycheck or whatever. But if you're doing it because this is something that you want to do for a long time, you want to build a sustainable business, then that's where you really need to question, should you pivot your business? So I totally get that. I don't know how it comes across to say like, oh, well, like you're only going to work with clients that you love or on projects that you get joy from. We don't have that luxury to do that. Well, we do plenty of projects where we're just like, this is a great job for money. We're going to be able to provide a great service to this person. This is going to pay the bills. But over here, like our team is coming alive over here. Like this is great stuff. So if we can take the joy and the elements where we come to life and be able to like pepper that into all of the work, like that's good and that's healthy. And I totally understand that, hey, there's just going to be projects that's just like, somebody needs us to be a tripod, to take care of business, and that's the end of it. And that's fine. That's good. That's healthy. That keeps the lights on. So I'm not in the point where in our business where we're like, half of the jobs that come to us, we're like, we're too good for that, and that's not going to bring us joy. But if we do have an opportunity to be able to market, then why don't we market to the industries or the clients or the kinds of videos that do bring us the most joy? Why don't we just do that? Because the work is still going to come in, like the projects where people just need you to be a tripod. Those jobs are still going to come in, even if on your website you say, here's what we do. We work with, we do weddings, or we only work with nonprofits. If that's all you say that you do, but you are displaying beautiful work that's engaging, other people are going to catch wind of that. Your SEO is going to pick up people are going to come to your page, and if they're having a hard time finding people that are professional and that know what they're doing, they're going to reach out to you and say, hey, can you help me do this? If you're doing a great job with your marketing, hopefully you're just doing those kinds of projects that you are passionate about, enjoy doing, working with the kind of people that you want to work with, but that may not be all that's in your funnel. So you can have the pleasure and honor of taking on those other projects, but rather than market to nobody, pick the kind of projects that are going to bring fulfillment and that are going to bring joy and that are going to help fulfill your mission as a business owner. Maybe you've never even thought about, like, what is my business? What is my mission as a business owner? And that's a great question to ponder too, because you should know, like, what at the end of your career, at the end of your life, like, what do you want to have been your goal? What do you want to have achieved? And if you could say, like, man, I want to make the best wedding films ever. I want couples' love to be stronger because of the films that we create. That is admirable, and that's great. And the fact that you would have that as your mission, we applaud you, and people will get behind that and support you. And you can know whether or not you fulfilled your mission. If you don't have a mission, then you'll get to the end of your life and be like, I don't know, I did a lot of good stuff. I made some good videos, projects that I was proud of, but how much more could you be on mission if you actually could define your mission? So anyway, if you think that it's time to pivot, if you think that it might be time to pivot, if any of this has resonated with you, here is what I have found that works. Number one, invite other people into your process to make sure that you're not totally crazy. So talk to your spouse, talk to your partner, talk to trusted friends and mentors. Tell people, like, in those areas, where are you struggling? Where are you not finding joy or just feeling kind of like meh? Share that with other people and let other people speak into, people that know your business and know your heart, because I think those people will be able to say, like, no, you're totally misunderstanding, and maybe give you a new perspective that you haven't thought about in a long time. Or they might just be saying, like, yeah, I've seen that. I totally get it. That this sounds right. This feels right. It does sound like you need to pivot. So share with other people, like try to articulate some of those things that I've shared today, things that areas that where you're just kind of like, just doesn't feel right anymore. And number two, take that feedback that you get from people. Take time to reflect and think about, journal. If you pray, like, listen to the thoughts in your head and the things that your heart's trying to say as you process through this. So create some space to be able to really think, like, why am I frustrated? Do I really need to pivot? Is this a good move for the business? And maybe it's time to take another risk in your business. Maybe it was a huge risk for you to start your business, but that's not necessarily the only risk that you should ever take in your business, is starting it. But maybe pivoting is a great next step for you in this process. So as you're reflecting, make a plan. Like, write out, like, here's where I think we need to go. This is who we need to serve. This is how we can serve them. This is what makes me come alive. Make a plan. And I'm not saying spend days and days and days on a plan. Like, spend an hour, spend 2 hours just doodling and just thinking through, like, how would you do this if you did pivot? After you implement the plan, here's the thing. This is what's so beautiful. It doesn't need to work. You can pivot again in 3 months or 6 months. You can do this whole process again and just say, like, I tried it. We've been doing it and I just don't like it. So pivot again. Or you just realize it's not working, it's not profitable, whatever, pivot. Like, this is a process that you should be going through in your business on a regular, asking yourself those questions. And maybe they're always like, no, this is where I need to be. This is what I need to be doing. And that's amazing. But as long as you're asking yourself those questions, keeping you in check, making sure that you are bringing your best self into your work for your team and for your clients, that is amazing. So as you're on your journey, as you pivot, you implement your plan, and you're sharing it and you're doing it. If you don't have a community, if you don't have people that are behind you, if you just kind of feel like, hey, I'm sharing with my mom and she's encouraging and has given me some good bits of wisdom, but really I need something deeper. I need to hear from other people that are in similar space, in doing similar things. The Studio Sherpas community, this is the community that I am building in hopes of helping you grow your business and into a thing that is sustainable, not like a huge, like you're going to take over the world, but something that is like big enough for you and big enough for what you are capable of doing and how you are capable of impacting the world. If you are at all interested in becoming a part of our community, where the heartbeat of the people that are in the community, it's the same. Like, they are excited about other people and their business, and in the community, people are encouraging and challenging, and it's not a place where everybody's like, we're not just patting everybody on the back and saying, hey, great job, but we really are trying to help each other and keep each other accountable to the things that we're saying. Like, here's what I think my business needs, and here's the plan, and this is what I'm going to do. So if any of that sounds interesting, I would love for you to shoot us an email, hey@studiosherpas.com, and just say, I'm interested in this community. I want to know more about it, and we can get you the information. Would love to hear from you, and would love to just hear kind of like where you're at in your business. If you're struggling, if you're doing great, like that's amazing too. And those stories are super awesome, and I love hearing those. So shoot us an email. Let us know. And if you're in a spot where you're kind of like ready for some training, you've hit a wall, maybe you kind of know the niche that you're in, you like that, you're not ready to pivot, but you're just like, you're not getting the kind of clients that you want, you're not getting the kind of budgets, you've just hit a wall, then I want to invite you to take our free workshop, which is found at studiosherpas.com/workshop. Then I'm going to teach you what you can do in your business to get better clients, to charge more money, and to do work that really is fulfilling. I've been doing this for 15 years, and I've definitely had some high highs and some low lows, and so I've learned a lot along the way about what has worked and what hasn't as we have built a profitable company. And anyway, it's free, and you can find out more at studiosherpas.com/workshop. That's it. That's all I've got. I'm so glad that you joined me. I'm so hot still. I hope you come back for next week's episode. And in the meantime, keep doing what you're doing. Put your whole self into it. The world wants it. The world needs it. The world needs you to be fully you. So here's to bigger and better things for all of us. What does that even mean? Actually, If you love books, I'm reading a book by a guy named Paul Jarvis right now called A Company of One, Company of One. And where most people, like our culture says, like, oh, if you figured out something in business, just scale it, grow it, keep. So when I talk about growing and scaling a business, I'm actually not talking about like continuing to grow it. I think what Paul Jarvis says is amazing, and this book has been really, really refreshing for me to read as we've pivoted and as I've realized, like, oh, my goal should not be to build. I think our 10-year goal was to build a $5 million company or something like that. And I've realized, like, oh, that's actually, I don't think that aligns with really where I want this company to go. I want it to be profitable, and I want everybody here to make more money. But I don't think, I'm not going to say no to $5 million, but at the same time, doing the things that we would need to do in order to get there probably means a lot more people working here, and I don't think that's our ultimate goal. So anyway, I say all that to say, I want the best for your business. I want you to grow in a healthy way. I want you to be able to scale in a healthy way. I want your business to be sustainable so that you can do this for a long time. So thank you again. If you like the show, share it with your people that would like it. And that's all I got. Talk to you soon. See ya.